I built this wall behind me probably about a year and a half ago, and admittedly during the time I had very little idea of what I was doing, and to be honest, as time has gone on, I've just come to not like it more and more. And so today we're gonna be doing something different, hopefully something that I like a lot more. We're gonna tear down all of this stuff, and then we're gonna be building a slat wall is the plan, like a wood slat wall. Luckily, I didn't use liquid nails on this because I had a feeling when I was putting it up, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this or not. So it's pretty easy to take out, as you can see. I'm just pulling everything off. No liquid nails on there, so not too much damage to the wall. We might have to patch up a little bit of stuff, but luckily not too bad. Alright, so as you can see here, I just went through and sanded down some of these rougher spots. Now I'm going to go through and fill it with some spackle and then let it dry and then give it another round of sanding just to get all of these holes nice and smooth. Alright, this is probably going to go pretty bad, but I'm going to attempt to cut the edges without taping, just cause we'll see. I'm just testing my skills, I guess, living life on the edge, so we'll see how this turns out. Probably not great, but we'll see. Okay, so to be honest, the results were not great of me hand painting this, although the reason why I wanted to practice it is because the board is going to be covering this up anyways. So you can see I made a pretty big splosh right there. It's not like crazy straight, so, but I did get better as I kind of went down further a little bit. But yeah, the board will be covering this up, so I'm not too worried about it. But I think I am going to go ahead and tape at least the bottoms because you're going to see that quite a bit, and then maybe even the top. And yeah, that worked out a lot cleaner, that's for sure, using the tape on this border here. I'm glad we did. I found that when I peel this back when the paint is wet, that's when I get the best results. Just a little tip for you there. Don't wait until the paint dries to start peeling this back, because that's what really helps get those clean lines.
And if you're curious on this paint color, this is Black Peppercorn by Bear. Now when it comes to wood, there's a couple different ways that you can do this. You can do it the cheaper way, where you get a piece of plywood and you go through and you rip it down with a table saw, or there's the kind of faster, lazier way, which I chose to go with, which is getting a bunch of these select pines from Home Depot and actually going through and just using those, because they're already pretty smooth and they're already cut to a nice length, which I really liked. You do want to make sure you take some time to find the straightest ones possible. And the next challenge I had was deciding which stain I wanted to use. I tested a lot of different ones, as you can see here.
I think I'm between these two colors right here. Is what we're gonna do. And I think this one on the left is the winner. They're very close in color, but I think the one on the left.
So the Summer Oak by Varathane was the winner for the stain, that which one I chose. And if you are curious or wanting to get all the supplies for what I use on this project, I'll leave links down below, as well as a link to a blog that kind of outlines this as well, if you'd like to go through and read those. And once I had chosen out the stain, it was now time to go through and actually make all the cuts for these slats. For reference, there was 54 slats that I had to go through and do, and then I had to go through and do the staining for all these slats. I only did one layer of stain, which was nice. I thought that it actually turned out really well just with one coat of stain. After the stain did dry, I went through and applied some polyurethane to it as well, just for extra protection. So this is the part that honestly takes the longest. Once the slats are all ready, then actually hanging them up is a pretty quick process.
All right, we now have let these all dry out for 24 hours. It is time to start installing these beautiful new slats. I really like this color. I think it's gonna look great on this wall. Let's get to work. A heads up for anybody doing this in your own house. Something that threw me off a little bit is that from this top to the baseboard here on this side of the wall is 92 inches. Over here, and this is gonna be pretty common with most houses, it's from the top here down at the baseboard is 93 inches. So the wall isn't exactly the most level, essentially, and the ceiling isn't exactly straight. So when I made my cuts, I had to go 92 here, and then I did 92.5 in this middle section, and then I did 93 for the cuts inside of here. So just a heads up there, if you're going to do this, make sure you measure out your wall. Unfortunately, you can't just make the same exact cut for every single slat, because most of the time these walls aren't exactly straight. Okay, we're gonna go through and put on the first slat. My goal is to try and put the nails in through the sides and kind of angle them this way so that I don't have to go through and do so much wood filling if I punch them just through the front here. So that's the goal. We're gonna see if that works. and I'll let you know my experience, but let's give this a shot. Eesh. Okay, I just tried to go in at an angle and it did not really work. So I think what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna put these straight in here and then I'm gonna go back and fill these in with wood filler later. Unfortunately, I was hoping I could avoid that, but I just think I'm gonna make too many mistakes. I'm not that good with a brad nailer to be able to go through and do that. And I'm just gonna be pulling out so many of these nails. So we're gonna go through and just put these in straight from the front and then we'll fill them later with wood filler. And let's see if I can get this thing out. I'm gonna go I need to go get some pliers. This is not starting off very well so far. Alright, we got the nail. And there's a small hole over here, nothing too bad. On the back looks pretty hammered, but obviously nobody's gonna see that, so we're alright. Okay, let's try this again, I guess. So here's our first one down. You can see here's the little nail marks right there. Nothing bad at all. I think that'll be pretty easily hidden with a little bit of wood filler. It's in there, nice and sturdy. Looking good. First one down, 54 more to go. And to keep spacing consistent, I'm using just an extra piece from this block. I'm going to be turning it sideways. So that is what we're going to be using to keep everything consistent and the spacing good. You of course can do however much spacing you'd like. I personally like a smaller space. I think it looks better if the space is smaller than the actual wood slats themselves. So however you want to do it, you do you. Okay, we have the first few in and I am happy with the spacing. I like this spacing using the block here. And basically what I'm doing is just going through, making sure it's spaced, hitting it with the nail. You can see, here's a nail mark right here. I'll go through, put the space right there, push it against here, and then shoot it in with the nail, and then just go down the board to make sure everywhere is completely spaced. Okay, so as you see here, we have now run into the outlet. So there's a couple different ways you could approach this. I took the kind of lazy route. You could go through and frame it out just with some of this wood and make it look really nice, but I chose to just take one of these slats and cut it at a 45-degree miter here. And as you see, when you go and put this up, essentially what that ends up looking like is, that is a horrible view of that, right over top like that. So we're gonna go through and do that, and I'll show you what it looks like after I have it all installed. So here's what the outlet ended up looking like. As you can see, I have the 45-degree miter here, and then I obviously went through and stained this. And then kind of frustrating, this just barely was hitting into it. And so I took a jigsaw and just like cut this out and clearly did a pretty bad job. But luckily you can't really notice, especially if you just see the video from that way. But I do got to show the mistakes here as well. So probably do a better job. I know it's kind of a little bit of an eyesore there, but nothing too bad, especially if you're standing up. You can't really tell at all. And once I was done nailing those in, because I wasn't able to go through the sides, I did have these nails kind of in the front here. So I did want to go through and fill those in, and luckily it wasn't bad at all, and I'll show you exactly how I did that. But if you take a step back, you'll notice that you can barely even see these holes. So if you wanted to leave them, you totally could. But what I did is took some of this wood filler right here and just took a small little dab into these holes and went through just like this. You can see here's the hole right here. Just put a little bit in there and rubbed my fingers in it. Once it dried, I barely had to do any sanding because I put barely any in there. And then I did take a little bit of stain to some of these and just kind of retouched them up, because you can kind of see it a little bit there, but overall a really good way to get rid of those holes. And here is how it ended up turning out.
And the last step was to go through and get my desk all set up. This was probably one of the most fun parts because I was able to get some more things to help me be more productive throughout my day. Namely, one, of course, the desk itself, which is a standing desk, which I really appreciate to have something where I can stand up or sit down. I also got this nice lamp, which for whatever reason, I just love how it turns on and off. And then this cool little whiteboard, which allows me to take quick notes and also has some good storage underneath there as well. My desk also has wheels, which makes it nice that I can flip the desk around in case I wanted this wall to be my background when I'm on a Zoom call or recording something. As you see, it looks really nice in a full background like that. But let me know what you think of this slat wall down in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.